listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. So about 2 years ago, I would say, I was catching up with my friend Mark, and he says to me, you know, I think I fell in love at first sight. And I'm like, really? And then he's like, yeah, I met this woman, fell in love at first sight, and I'm moving to Miami. And I was like, wow, well, that is all a lot happening all at once. So anyway, he ended up doing as such. He moved to Miami. They got married, and now they're here. Mark and Lesha, the woman he fell in love with. Hi, Mark and Lesha. How are you guys doing?
Hey, hello.
Hi. Thank you.
We've talked about you coming on forever, so I'm glad it's finally happening.
It's we've been busy schedule on both hands, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we finally made it.
Made it happen.
And we have so much to talk about now.
Yes.
So everything happens for a reason.
So how exactly did you guys meet?
So this was 2016 music conference. I usually go to Miami for music conference. I think it's like one of the best times to go, experience music and underground scene, connect with network with producers and DJs. So what happened? My friend was invited me to DJ to this event. It was kind of last minute. He invited me literally the night before. So I showed up. He wasn't there yet. And I called him on the phone. And as I called on the phone, I saw her, Lesha and her friend, passing by kind of. They looked inside the place and they kept going. And I'm trying to get in touch with them. So I'm like, I kind of lost that moment to catch up with her.
Did she see you at that point?
No, she didn't. But I saw her and my jaw dropped, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's so hot." I just had to say hello. But she walked away. I didn't have an opportunity. So then,
so she left the club.
So they didn't even go inside. They just kind of looked inside. It was still empty. So they're like, "Okay, I guess
not the spot for us."
Kept going.
Okay, but let me butt in there. Mm-hmm. So the only reason why we were there, it's a Tuesday night. And we're teachers, my friend and I, and she had just been on Tinder, and she had swiped right and found this guy who said, "Come down to Miami. I'm DJing at midnight. Bring a friend. Come along." And so she's like, "Well, let's take a nap during the day, and then we'll go to Miami." Here we are thinking our spring break was just going to be just calm and relaxed, everything.
Right.
We get down to Miami, so we got there a little bit early, parked the car, and then we peeked in. She didn't see the guy. So when he saw us, it's because we peeked in, but we left because we're like, let's go check out some other spots. We'll come back around midnight.
Because he still wasn't there.
Right.
And so I
So you were accompanying your friend on a Tinder date.
So she was the third wheel. And so he didn't show up. I went on DJing. He still wasn't there. I went out to eat. I come back, and I finally see him. And I see both Lesha and her friend inside the club, and I was just like, wow, I'm so happy. Like, how often does this happen that you get a second chance? And he's just like, yeah, I was just talking to them. Actually, one of the girls is my date. And I was just like,
which
let's
one?
go. I don't know. For some reason, I knew she was available. I don't know why. Or at least I wanted her to be available. So he introduced me, and I just had a burger with like onions and peppers. My breath was kicking. So I said hello, and I just said, "Wow, you're so beautiful." Like I didn't know what else to say, but as I'm saying, I was just like, and I gotta do my mouthwash. So I excused myself, went to the bathroom really quick, did my mouthwash.
But no, when he said hello to me, his hand brushed past my back, and this electricity went through my body.
Yes,
and I grabbed my friend, and I was like, "Oh my God, did you feel that?" She was like, "Feel what?" I was like, "He touched me." She was like, "And?" I was like, "No, he touched me." And then he left, and we're like, "Okay, well, we got to go anyway." Our meter was running out, so we had to.
So,
leave.
what did you think at that point when you sort of like felt that electricity when he touched you? Like,
I mean, I've never felt anything like that before from anyone, you know. And then just this guy just came in, even though my friend had to point him out to me, because I was in that mode at that point where it was just like, I'm not dealing with any guys, you know. Literally, if any guy have to talk to me, he will have to chase me down the road. He'll have to chase me down.
So where were you,
Guilty.
Alicia, at that point, relationship wise? Like, were you single, out of a relationship? Like, how come you were accompanying your friend on this Tinder date and not going on one yourself?
Right. Because, you know, I never did the whole, you know, online dating thing, you know. I just always figured that wherever I go, like, I'll meet somebody, you know, somebody will approach me, and then, you know, the chemistry will be there, and we lock eyes, and that will be it. But I've been having such bad luck, you know. There would be the guys will come, and then they'll say they're going to call you, and they don't, and then all of a sudden, I guess when they're bored, then you'll get a text. And I was just so sick and tired of it. And so my friend, she is just so determined that she wants to get married, and she has to find someone. So she was always going on dates and want me to come along. And so this time she was like, you're coming with me. And I'm like, I don't want. She's like, but it's DJs, so who knows, you know? So I said, fine. I said, it's your night. So at that point, I'm not even looking for anyone, you know?
Miami in general just doesn't have a good reputation for, you know, one night stand maybe, but not like I'm going to fall in love tonight deals.
Right.
Exactly. Everybody wants to go out, have fun, you know, maybe meet someone, but then they're not really thinking, oh, this is going to be something
because it's
long-term.
mostly tourists. People go there for vacation.
Right,
you know,
right.
They don't really think too far. You know, like maybe next week, that's it.
And Mark, like, where were you at relationship-wise?
Well, I was single and looking, I guess. Actually, well, I guess we should touch history a little bit. We both were married before. I lost that whole dating game, you know, like I was so out of touch.
How long had it been since you dated at that point?
Like about a year or maybe more. And then, you know, I started going on dates a little, but it just didn't feel natural, and I always feel like some people try to set me up, and that was just the worst thing for me. I hate being on the spot, like, and have all those expectations on both hands, and, you know, so you don't know what to expect, and anyway, so I always felt that if I do meet someone, it's going to be natural, and it's just going to flow, you know, that it shouldn't be like a hard job, like, there's got to be some kind of electricity going, chemistry, attraction, and that's exactly what happened here. But so at that point in Miami, I was single, and needless to say, she caught my attention right away, and I was just, you know. Oh, so let me finish the story. Because it actually did happen. Like she said, I did chase her down the street. So when I came out of the bathroom, right, to finally, you know, have my opportunity to chat with her, there he left again.
Why did you guys leave again?
Because the meter was running out, and they will tow your car.
So this is the second time she's slipping away from me, and I talked to my friend. I was like, "Where did they go?" They're just like, "Oh, they had to leave," and I'm just like, that split-second decision. I was just like, I'm going after her, you know, and there was no stopping me. I ran outside and I caught them making a turn. It was a long block. I don't know if you're in Miami, right in the middle.
And you're on foot?
Yeah.
And you guys are already in the car?
No, they're walking.
Oh, okay.
But it's turned the corner.
It's been, you know, so it's been like a few minutes they're already walking, you know, and so I just saw them making a turn. And I'm just like, it's okay, I'm going to make it. So I ran like crazy through people.
You had the spirit of Usain Bolt at that very moment?
And I was just like, I will catch on. So, and as I'm running, you know, I'm starting to sweat a little. I'm like, oh, she's probably think I'm crazy. Like, you know, things sweat coming down my face. So I'm out of breath. So I see them start walking across the street. And I was just like, are you leaving me again? So she looked at me and she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, you left the first time. I didn't get a chance to say hello. Now the second time you walked away." I was like, "Come on, don't leave just yet." And so her friend was like, "Oh, well, we have to go. So I walked into the car, and our eyes just locked. You know, we were just like this, face to face, and we were just. I mean, there was definitely electricity. You could feel it probably a mile
And so
away.
I decided this is my opportunity. If he's going to run away, I'm going to give him everything right now. And I'm like, I'm not as young as you think. And he goes, I don't care. I was like, well, I've been divorced. He's like,
You
don't
said
care.
this in this
I'm
moment?
doing all of this. I'm like, if he's for me, he will gonna stick it out right now. I was like, I have 3 kids. He's like, I don't care. And then I looked at him. I was like, he doesn't care. And then our eyes locked. And
I mean, at that point, I was just so in awe, that I finally get to talk to her, and I just didn't want this moment to get away from me. So anything she would say, I will just say, "It's all good in my book."
And then, he even says to me, and then he grabbed my hand. He goes, "I'm gonna have to get this girl a ring." It's like he knew right.
No. She was looking at me with the biggest smile, and I was just like, "You keep looking at me like that, I'm gonna have to start shopping for a ring." But yeah, no, it was definitely a spark. It's just like one of those movie moments, that you all hope that one day is gonna happen to me.
And he literally chased me down the street.
And it happened. And, the thing is, it's also has to be mutual. Like sometimes you are attracted to somebody,
right?
And you kind of like either you make you're like too much,
yourself.
and they kind of go back,
right?
Yeah.
Where in this case it was just kind of like a mutual,
it was intense
it was like
on
a
both
magnet.
sides.
Yes, it was.
It was a magnet. So and we like, her friend was like, okay, I'm gonna let you guys say goodbye, and we just started making out.
On the street, people are passing. We didn't even know.
So 5 minutes later, her friend's like, you guys want to stay?
She's in the car with her phone, just taking pictures of us. Like, I can't believe this. Oh my gosh, look at this. They have to see what's going on. And she kept.
So you guys have pictures of that moment? That's awesome.
Of our first kiss.
We do.
That's awesome.
Like the night we met, we have pictures of it because of her.
So naturally, I convinced both of them to go back into the club, and we continue kissing and exchanging information. And yeah, it was just like a dream. I was so happy we connected, and from the beginning, as she mentioned, we broke all the dating rules.
We did.
I actually took some time to kind of educate myself to get back into the game.
What were you reading, Mark? I was just curious. How did you educate yourself?
I ended up searching for somebody on I forgot his name. I'm gonna get back to you on his name, but he has a YouTube channel and he has a book out.
What's the book?
Well,
I will
my
give you the
listeners are
reference
going to want to
later.
know this.
When
When Mark gets it to me, I'll put it on the site. Okay, so this kiss is happening. Your friend's taking pictures. They come back into the club. What then happens? What happens at the end of this night?
At the end of this night, we were just happy, smiling, and didn't want the night to end. So my schedule was very intense. I had back-to-back events. I was DJing and going to different parties, photographing as well. Being a professional photographer, I had to make some money on the side.
Right.
So that whole you have to wait 3 days to call somebody,
which I think is bullshit.
for
the record.
So so like I said, we broke.
If you wait 3 days to call me, I'm not answering.
Don't tell them all that information, what I was like. Oh,
I think that's the best thing to do. Give all your stuff up front,
right?
And if somebody likes it, great.
Take you
if they
for
don't,
how you are.
thank you for not wasting my time.
Exactly.
All right. So
I'm with that.
So I called the next day. I was by the pool, hanging out, and we were on the phone for good 30 minutes. And in the conversation, we were all smiling, continuing that spark going. And as I'm talking to her, in the sky formed a heart shape, with clouds.
The cloud.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He's like, hold on 1 second. You won't believe
I
this.
told her, just wait, hold on. I don't hang up. I take a picture, right? And I'm how often do you see it? Every time I see it, I always think it's photoshopped. and here
I
I'm
need
actually
to see it after
Yes.
this.
and here I'm
It's-
actually
it's
seeing
on
it,
my phone.
and I'm just like, if it's not signed from God, I don't know what is.
Wow.
and we just basically made plans to meet again, and I don't think I let her go the whole week.
That whole week, I didn't know what I was gonna expect, so I just had heels and dresses and makeup in a bag in the
we had
trunk
pool
of my
party,
car.
after
I
party,
had no idea what I was gonna get
dinners,
into with this guy.
hanging out.
Every night was something going on. Here I'm thinking my spring break was just gonna be just gonna
Listen,
chill.
you don't go to Miami to do nothing. There's always something.
So at this point, like, what are the conversations? Being that there was like such a connection immediately with the both of you, did you guys acknowledge that to each other verbally? And if so, like, how deep did that get? Was it like, I think we should be together, or was it, or was that unsaid, or you know what I'm saying? Like, how did you guys?
It was kind of like up in the air. We didn't really discuss like, okay, what's going to happen after the suit. We were kind of just going with the flow,
right?
Just kind of like just spending time together and really enjoying each other.
When that conversation came up, was
that
on
conversation
the way to the airport
was
when
the
he had
last
to go back
conversation
home.
we had, and she's just like,
so this is after a week now. You're going
Yeah.
So
back.
after a week of like amazing time that we spent together, so she's like, so what now? And obviously I wanted to keep going, and I said, well, I have to go back to New York. I still have my work, I still have things.
Right.
So I just like, let's just take one day at a time and see how things gonna work out. Like, I'm all for, keeping it growing. So yeah, she didn't even. So my birthday was the next month, April 23rd. And she basically came right away. She it was like maybe like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Oh, she wanted to come visit me like the next week. Basically, she was just like, well, you're not gonna let you go so fast. And I said, well, my birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. Why don't you make it special? Come visit me for my birthday. And so she did.
But a lot of my friends were like, no, you need to go where he lived and find out about how people think about him, his family, his friends. You need to go there because he saw what you do. You need to go. And I'm just like, really? They're like, no, fly. And I'm like, okay, I'm
yes
going.
And no.
I'm going.
I would normally agree. Like, I would normally be like, and you need to find this out, and this needs to happen, and make sure you know this, and make sure you see this. But in a case where it's like such a connection so early on,
right.
It's almost like at that point you already don't care in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, there are certain like connections that you have. The less you're connected to somebody, the more those things matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, like if it's like you really don't like a guy like that, then it's like, well, this has to be perfect and that has to be perfect, and I need this because it's like I need to fill in what's
Right.
not there in actual connection. Where it's like when you're really connected to somebody, you sort of like those things stop mattering as much. They stop taking up as much
maybe
space.
in the beginning, it won't matter, but things do pop up throughout the relationship, and I think it is kind of important to know. I mean, not necessarily make a decision based on what other people will talk about me, but it's just nice to know that you're liked and whatever.
But no, what was amazing though, that I met his friends and everybody, this guy is the best. Like they were coming up to me and just giving me such positive things about him.
Right.
And even how he reacted to people and certain things he would do. If you'll see a homeless guy, he'll give him something he's eating, or you know what I mean. It's like helping an old lady with her stuff, or
that is very.
We went to Central Park and he helped this guy with his wheelchair thing, take him all the way up to the top, stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, And so it was just, it solidified everything for me because it was just like, he's better than I can imagine.
Was it at all awkward? Because it is kind of like, well, there is this like huge, great connection. But on the other hand, like, I just met you like 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, was it awkward in that way at all? Or was, because of the connection, did everything just sort of flow very smoothly?
I think we were just blinded by love. Like, at that point, because we were both kind of already somewhat felt like this could be potentially a serious relationship. We both kind of let go of our guards.
Right.
And I think that helped a lot to just make things naturally flowing for us. You know, and I don't think like till today, like we don't. I mean, yeah, we sometimes have disagreements or whatnot, but I quickly try to resolve it.
He's really good at that, you know.
You know,
Really
like
good.
I'm not into like let's talk about it later. I was just like let's
figure
talk
it
about
out
it
now
now
and fix it now.
get it over
Right.
it, you know, and not hold on to it. Yeah, because
And
when you
that
like
really
pile
helps me.
things up and nobody knows, and then that storm,
It's like a mountain, and eventually it'll fall.
you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
So-
it's very important, at least one person in the relationship to be like that, you know, because it brings you now on the other side and
Right.
try to fix it too. If both of you are just like, all right,
Stubborn,
we'll talk about it.
yeah.
Then it's really,
Right.
it's really going to be worse.
Yeah, so even though I'm Taurus, I try to be more sensitive and
No,
understanding to
seriously,
her
yes.
needs, you know, because you know what they say, happy wife, happy life.
That's
You
true.
know,
So-
so I'm sticking to it.
So when you left New York after that weekend, how did that end?
When I left New York,
When he left New, or I'm sorry, when Lesha left New York after that weekend of your
when
birthday.
Lesha left, I mean, it was basically just a matter of time. Like I told her, I was like, this long distance is not gonna work.
Yeah.
I will need to see you a lot often. And you know, I basically told her, I was like, I'm gonna need a couple of months to, you know, tie up all my ends and make my move down to Florida.
Wow. So when did you move again? So this is like April now, where she came up here.
Wow.
Was that a couple of months after?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, you know, tried to save up some money also. Was that time?
No, that's not
it was
it.
later.
That's the following
It was
year.
later. But yeah, so yeah, it was a couple of months after, I think, right? Nothing was really holding me back. I closed down my studio, my photo studio, and I didn't have like a full-time job to hold me back. So for me, it was a lot
It was
easier
like
to move.
perfect.
Right.
And
Perfect
I
scenario.
kind of needed that change also because I've been in New York for 28 years. And yeah, there's a lot to do and you can kind of get lost in New York.
Right.
I just felt like this was a great time for me to, fresh start, new chapter, and obviously to be with her. That was my main reason why I went to Florida. And you know, her big family.
Now, Lesha, you have 3 kids.
Yes.
So, and they're how old?
They're in their 20s.
So how did they react to this when you're like, okay, so I met somebody, I'm going to New York, and by the way, he's moving here. What was their reaction?
Well, let's go back a little bit because when I told them about him, they were so excited because they just saw how excited I was, you know, and they want to be happy for their mom because she's been single for such a long time. So they're just
How long
so
had you been
excited.
single?
Whew, let's see. I can't even think right now. It's about 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
How's
going through
that
the
even
divorce.
possible? You really seen this?
Right?
She's so beautiful.
Well,
I mean,
I keep telling people, you know, it was a choice, you know, because, you know, it's like you go through some things and so you just know, I wasn't ready to, I was ready for more like me and making me happy at that point and, you know, fixing me and getting myself all
Like
that.
not bringing your baggage
I knew
into
I
something
was wife
new.
material and I knew what I can bring to the table for the next guy that came along, but I wanted to take my time and enjoy my single life for
Right,
a while,
right,
you know?
right.
And so I remember this one specific day, I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm tired of sleeping in this bed alone. It's time now. I'm ready now.
Yeah.
And so that was like, you know, maybe 2 years after that because my divorce was just taking like a little bit time. But once that happened, I was like, I think I'm ready now.
Is he the
You
first
know?
person? Is Mark the first person you've dated since your divorce?
You know, I would
Like,
say
seriously?
more like dating. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because the others,
lucky me.
the others, they weren't consistent enough, and then I just like, okay, fine. You don't want to talk to me, or you know, you're playing around.
Right.
I don't have time for this. You know. So he was the only one that really showed, you know, that he was really interested and consistency.
Right.
These guys out there.
Oh, trust me, I know. So did you meet the kids prior to moving down?
No, you didn't meet them yet. That was one of the things too. Like I didn't want to bring the kids around anyone until I knew for sure.
Right.
You know? And so when did you get to meet them?
You don't really know for sure until you get married.
I know, but like, you know.
But yeah, and even when she told me, you know, like, oh, I have 3 kids, I didn't really like think it through, you know, like, oh, I'm going to be a father of 3 growing kids. You know, they're not really kids already. They're adults.
Yeah.
And it's still like a phase for me to, you know, kind of get into that role model, like, oh, I'm a father now.
Well, it is. You know, it's a different role because they are grown. It's not like they're like children and you're like, you know, changing them and bringing them to school, but it is still the role of like a mentor,
like
role
more
model.
being, like I said, mentor, friend. You know, I talk to them, we have fun, we have our dates, movie nights. So you know, it.
Do any of the kids live at home, or are they all out?
They all do. Well, my son's in LA. He's in music school there. Mm-hmm. So, like, they have that connection with the music thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like, they're able to talk about equipment and, you know, like...
Even though we're in different
like, he's more
styles.
like into hip-hop and, you know, R&B and stuff. But the thing is, they still connect.
Her son is actually extremely talented producer. You know, he's young, but he has knowledge, years and years of producing, I guess. I'm just starting out, so... You know, if anything, he's teaching me. But listen, I'm you know, for me, the way I see it, like, I can only be helpful and in whatever way I can, you know, whether it's conversation or financially or whatever, on my time. And
but he somehow connects with each one in specific ways. Like my oldest, she was into the boys and stuff, so he would always have to give her the little tips on how guys are.
Yeah.
He'll always come to me like, why are guys like that?
You can only be honest with them,
truth.
you know, otherwise what's the point?
Right.
Of, you know.
And then my middle one, she's into music too and photography, and so, you know, so they connect like that too. It's so amazing. But no, like, I mean, he just gelled. He just fit right in.
Were you intimidated by it at all, Mark? Or was it...
the big family. Because I have 5 sisters.
You know,
do they all live down there as well?
They're all kind of scattered, like 3 in Florida, and then you have Atlanta and New York, LA. But we all come together for Christmas, and so that's when you was going to get to meet everybody.
Yes,
at Christmas.
They definitely met me.
So how was that? The first Christmas after you moved down there?
It was. I mean, my family is pretty small. You know,
so it's you and your sister, right?
My sister, I have an older sister that's still in Ukraine, and my parents. That's pretty much it. I have a cousin as well, but we don't see each other often. So that's it for me, you know. And then her family is like
huge,
and they all have personalities. You know? So yeah, meeting them was a little bit intimidating because I didn't really know like how I'm gonna like blend in with everyone.
I did a PowerPoint presentation for him.
She did.
On each one of my sisters.
Here's everything you need to know. Name, photo.
Their
the
dreams,
basics.
their accomplishments, everything.
Hold on, were you looking on your phone as you're meeting them? Like, you are, okay, yep, I remember now.
I'm not gonna lie, it did take me a while to put the name to the face.
Because we're all L's. It's Lesha, Lisel, and Ellenise, Linda,
Oh,
Laurel.
yeah, I would have lost track. Yeah,
Don't
I'm not good
test
with the
me.
names.
I still have a hard time. but it was cool. Like, I think we broke the ice right away and we had a conversation. They're all great sense of humor. So that kind of glues the whole family together, and you know,
we're always
now. What was their reaction when you were like, "This man just moved down here? We met, you know, a couple months ago." Like, were they like, "Huh, what?" Or were they completely supportive?
I mean, there were, you know, some of them. There were a few that was just like, "Okay, be cautious," you know. Remember, you know, you have your kids, you know, and then there were other ones like, if you're happy, well, I'm happy too.
Right.
You know, I was like, well, I just shut it all down, said, when you guys get to meet him, you'll see what I see. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. We all sitting around the table, one cracking on somebody, jokes. He's blending in right there. He's coming along with it just perfectly, you know. And so the first sister he met was my sister who lives in New Jersey. She lived in New York at the time we met for dinner. Mm-hmm. And at dinner, we laughed the entire time because she and him, they were cracking on me and having a good time. And I was like, perfect. He fit right in. And she realized it too and was just like, he's great. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty much like with them. It's always laughter the whole time.
Singing and laughter.
Singing and laughter.
Yeah.
Now, culturally, you guys are very different. Lesha, you're Trinidadian. Mark, you're from Ukraine.
Yes.
Was that ever an issue within the families or anything like that?
Not in my family, no.
Not in mine either. I mean, growing up in the Caribbean too, we look at it like we never looked at race or anything like that. You know? So, I mean, I just look at the map and I realize like you're way up here and I'm way down here and we met here. You know, we look at that all the time. You didn't even know where Trinidad was.
Well, I've never
She's
been
like,
there.
I taught you geography.
I'm still learning. It's okay. I admit.
So I had to show him. I was like, you see that dot right there next to Venezuela? That's where I'm from.
One thing, when she first came to visit, you know, my family was with open arms. Like the minute you meet Lesha, you know, she's just a loving personality. Like, how can you not fall in love with her? So, as a matter of fact, my sister was more on my case, like, don't F this up. You know? Like, she's a great catch, okay? Be on your best behavior.
And when I met your father, he had a picnic. And remember the picnic?
Oh, but that was so that was a whole other... Meet my daughter-in-law. Like we're just dating.
No, that was that week.
Oh, the first week you came up here the weekend for his birthday?
We went on a little picnic and he's introducing us to his Russian friends as his daughter-in-law already. And he's telling us, oh, you know, this location, they throw weddings here, you know. And doing
that.
And like he had a spread. I've never seen a picnic where there's tablecloth, china, silverware, filet mignon on the grill.
Oh, wow.
This was a picnic.
Yes.
That
Invite me to the next one, thanks.
My father's a chef. He knows what's up.
Yes. And I was I'm impressed with this. This is definitely
caviar and everything.
I know. Yes. It was.
That's how Russians do, you know?
So when you first moved down to Florida, like how was the living together part? Like, because that really like pushes getting to know each other like really fast.
Yeah, so
when you
I
together.
didn't move in right away. You know, I was coming to visit.
Oh, okay.
Because your dad had
and
a
I
place.
was just visiting so often.
Yeah, because his father has a place.
I was just like, listen, you know, why am I wasting time driving back and forth? You know, I have like only a few bags with me and that's it. Like, I come easy. So yeah, that worked out. And I think like...
So when you moved down there, you guys weren't living together at first, so you kind of took some time.
Right.
Okay, got it.
I mean, we still didn't have a solid plan how things going to work out.
Right.
I just knew that I had to be closer to her.
Got it.
I wasn't going to let her slip away again.
Because before that, I spent a whole month. Remember, first the summer? Mm-hmm. Before you came down.
Right.
Summer vacation, we have like about 8 weeks off for teachers. And I spent a month.
I used to want to be a teacher just for that. Summer's off, right?
I was supposed to actually just stay for like a week or so. And then I'm like, hey, I'll just stay for a month. I don't need to go back right now.
So when I moved in with her in Florida, you know, her father's a pastor. So that was like...
He's like, when you got married, right?
Pretty much. It was like 2 weeks after or something like that. We're having a dinner. And he's like, so Mark, what are your intentions with my daughter? You know, well... I mean, I basically told her, I was like, listen, I'm here obviously for a long run, and I'm eventually going to marry her, but, you know, just let her grow a little bit.
Right.
You know, like he was basically expecting me, he was like, I'm going to marry her tomorrow. But I'm sure, like, as parents and, you know, kids involved, and there's a lot, you know, at stake here, so he wanted to be, you know, confirmed to make sure that I'm not playing games.
Right,
I'm not just coming to sleep over and, you know.
Because he approached me too, and he's like, what are you doing, Lesha? What is this? What are you doing? You know? And I'm like, you know what, Dad? I did it your traditional way the first time, and that didn't work. I just want to try something different.
Right.
And it worked. And that worked.
So when did you guys get engaged? And how did that happen?
So this was on Christmas, the second Christmas.
This was like after the summer, like so that.
Oh, that Christmas, the first Christmas.
The first Christmas.
Oh wow.
Yes.
First Christmas.
It was the
first Christmas. Take me back.
It was the first Christmas.
Oh, that's right.
So really, like 9 months, about like 9 months after you guys met.
Pretty much. Yeah. So Christmas.
Christmas, we always get together. So the whole family now is getting together for Christmas all the way to New Year's. This is something that we do every single year. And so now this is an opportunity now.
So this was the first time meeting the family, also, Mark. Yeah. Her sisters, and everything.
No pressure.
Oh wow! Okay.
So while she was in Brooklyn, I took her to Brighton Beach, and there's a Russian toy Matryoshka. I don't know if you know. It's like a doll.
The net dolls. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she really liked it. So I actually brought one before. And I gave it to for our parents, I think, right? But then Christmas come around, and I got her like a real deal one. It was like
huge.
Handmade. It was like numbered and everything.
So everyone's opening up presents, and he gave me that.
So I gave her like a toy, and she's like, "Oh, that's so cool! I've always wanted one." And I'm just like, "There's a surprise inside." And she's like opening them up, 1, 2, 3.
She's like, "Where is it?" Did you know what it was when he said there's a surprise inside?
I
you didn't. You had no inkling that he was going to do it then.
I have no idea. And the thing is, he spoke to my parents, and they didn't say anything. Right? You spoke to my dad,
yes.
Yeah,
I did.
That's so cute, Mark. You got permission. I love it.
I'm somewhat traditional still and romantic. So it was kind of like an appropriate and nice thing to do. Obviously. We're both more mature and we've been through a lot, so I wanted to make sure that everyone is okay with it,
Right.
Because there's a lot of people involved.
Yeah, and he did it right in front of the entire family.
Yeah, wow. And I figured, I had some other ideas how to propose, but I figured, this is a very special moment when a whole family comes together.
Right.
And, for her to keep repeating the same story to everyone would be probably hard. So I was like, let's just make it all official when everyone comes together. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, because I kept opening up, and then I opened up the last one.
Tiny one.
And there wasn't the baby one in there. It was the ring in there. And everybody was like, oh my gosh. That's when you just heard everybody in unison. And then you just see him drop to his knee. And then what? You say you don't remember what you said.
Oh my God. I had a speech prepared, but at that moment... You kind of blank out. and I definitely spoke from the heart. And she said, yes, that's all that counts.
I was like, I can't believe this is happening right
Had
now.
you guys talked about marriage before that? Or was it just sort of, I guess, assumed because of...
It was somewhat assumed, but obviously I didn't tell her when, I'm going to propose. So that was a surprise, I guess. I figured, why waste time? If God put us together at this point of our lives,
that was our thing. It's like why are we wasting time? We don't need to waste
I felt like why wait? Why waste time? Why have like this playing games?
Right.
So I was definitely committed from the beginning. Pretty much like I felt so connected with her that it was just a matter of time. And.
Well, it also helped with my father, like, what's your intentions?
Right.
Well, listen, I understand, being a parent, I'm sure I would be asking the same questions much earlier.
So,
you guys have both been married before. How is this different from where you've been before?
Well, it's like nobody gets married to, like, hope one day I'll get divorced,
Right.
Like, obviously, we had connection and... we had nice experience together. A lot of things were working out, but in the end, obviously, it didn't. So, It's not really something you compare because it's completely different person, different package, different background, different personality. So it's not something I would put it like in the same category. I mean, we had our time, we had a learning experience, just gonna leave it at that.
I mean, for me, one of my main things was trust, someone you can trust, and someone that you can count on. And so, like, just seeing certain things with him, that's how I knew this is going to be different. Because, dealing with what I dealt with in the past, just to see something totally different and something so secure, and he's a man of his word, and all those things that I know that this time around, this is what I'm going to search for, this is what I'm going to look for in someone. And so when I saw all those things, that's how I knew it was going to be different, and it has been. And he's very, very, very sensitive to my needs, and I fall in love with him every day.
I can tell her that my job is to make her happy. That's really it.
And he really, it's so true. It's so true. I told him, I was like, every day, I was like, I've never met anyone like you that just want to make sure that you're taking good care of me. And, and as a result, I just want to treat him like the king that he is, and it's just really, really
my queen.
Amazing.
Kiss for that.
They're so cute. They just like kiss. So what advice, I guess, would you guys give to somebody who was where you all were at before you met? So maybe just out of something or single and looking for somebody. Like how, I know it was a very kind of cosmic connection with you guys, but I guess if somebody wanted to find this or hope to, is there any advice you would give, or is it just straight up luck? Right place, right time.
Timing a lot has to do with it, but I think before you even meet someone, you want to be in the right place with yourself. I took my time to kind of rediscover myself and understand certain things about my personality, who I am, what I bring to the world, and all that good stuff. To really see who I want to be with, because that's one thing. You kind of just like meet someone, they're like, oh, they're cute, and then you like spend a little bit of time together, and you don't really like certain things. So it's kind of like you're wasting your time and their time. So I think it's important to take your time before you get involved to understand all that. So when you finally do meet someone who fits all your check marks, that it would be natural. And I think that's kind of what happened with us. We're both in the right place in our lives, both comfortable with who we are, what we want out of life and out of relationship, and. It was natural for us, but it didn't happen obviously the first time. Like I was dating also, like I went on a couple of dates and I've seen girls here and there, but it just never felt like this is the one I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
It was more like for fun, okay, cool, we're just hanging out.
Right.
So intentions are extremely important, and you have to set that tone pretty much from the beginning. I know you don't want to scare your dates, she obviously did the best.
I always say this though: the right person will never be scared of that.
Exactly.
If you say to somebody, I'm really looking to spend my life with somebody, and I don't want to waste my time, the wrong person's going to run, and the right one's going to say, "Let me explore that."
Exactly.
So it's like if you scare somebody, good, because they weren't the right one.
Right.
Let them run. Let them run very fast.
Bye-bye.
Exactly. Yeah. So being honest has obviously helped in this situation. Because if it worked out different, like I don't know how my reaction would be, Because I was seeing someone, and then little by little they were giving me like all this stuff. Like, why didn't you tell me this before?
See?
Right.
So
that's my tip. Just give it up front. Tell them everything up front.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100% agree.
And one thing, and we kept laughing about it. I think we actually have a title for a book. What is it called?
The anti-game.
The anti-game.
Ooh, I like it.
We just
because there's all this proper dating etiquette of how to do things, when to talk about what, the timing, the date, the location, whatever. We definitely just followed our heart. It was never planned. It was never like pressured. to be a certain way or whatever. We were definitely being ourselves, and I think that's what attracted us to each other. So it was never like, you have to put on a show for somebody to like. You have to be like dressed a certain way or go to certain places. I think the more you being yourself, the more you're going to attract someone who you potentially will like.
Yeah.
That is like major.
Yeah,
that's it. I think that's the key. I think it's what happens is people put on sort of like this facade of who they think they should be to attract the person that they think they want.
Yep.
And inevitably they're being like a fake version of themselves.
Yes.
And so they're attracting somebody that's attracted to the fake
that
version.
kind of person.
And then eventually the real you is going to come out. So it's like further and further down in the relationship. And then the real you starts to come out. And then the other person's like, who is this? Like, I didn't sign up for this.
Exactly.
And it's just like, just be you. And the right person will like it. And the wrong people won't.
Right.
And that's it. Like, I totally agree with that. Like, I believe in that 100%. Like, that's how I was when I got into this relationship. I was just at a place where I was like, yeah, like, whatever. I'm just me. You like it or you don't. And he liked it.
Yeah, but you're always you. I don't, as far as I know,
that's true.
You never held anything back.
Well, the thing is, then he loves her. Okay.
Yeah. Because people didn't know. I never held back, but people didn't always like it.
Exactly.
Some people were like, "Oh, that's cool."
I think it was more challenging for you to like someone. I don't know.
That is true. Because I don't like a lot of people. That's true.
I know you a little bit. I've seen Black Love. All right.
One thing I forgot to ask you guys: how do you resolve disagreements? I know you said earlier, like Mark is generally the one who's like, "Let's nip it in the bud now." But like,
you can read her face so easily. Like she's very expressive. So if something she doesn't like, it's like a wall. and I'm just like,
and I get real quiet.
I was like, babe, what's wrong?
I'm the same way. Like my face, I can lie, but my face cannot. I might be like, it's fine, but really, I'm like, it is not fine.
So, and I have to like really know her mood at that particular moment, because sometimes she does need some time to just cool down before we start talking, and sometimes like I'd rather just talk it out and be done with it. So typically it's something I did or something I said. That's obviously. So for me, because men are somewhat clueless about that, I'm like, babe, what happened now? What did I do? So I think it's important. Communication is so important to let your partner know, what's bothering them, and then at the same time, like if I did something right, also, give me some credit. But specifically when something you're not happy with, communicate. That's it. Like it's the only thing that's gonna get you through a relationship.
And he's helping me with that, because normally I'll just shut down and not say anything.
Oh, I'm the same way. No, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And it like Chris is the opposite of me, which is great.
It is good.
But I am like when I'm mad about something, like I have to stew in myself for a moment, and I have to like think about how I feel and then like deal with the anger. But I can't, like, I'm not like let me solve this right, because it's not productive for me, like right away. So it's like generally Chris is the one to come and be like, I see your face, so obviously something's wrong. Like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And it takes about 3 times, because the first 2 times I'm like, oh, nothing. There is nothing wrong.
But that's the key, though. This is where you have to help us to understand,
right?
Because obviously we have no idea,
right?
If we did, we wouldn't do it in the beginning.
But you know something really important that Chris said, and I think this is good to share, because he is always that person. He is the one that's like, okay, I see you're mad. Okay, like what are you upset about? Okay, like let's talk. Okay, and and I'm so used to him filling that role that I often just fill my role, which is I'll be mad or I'll do a thing until you figure it out or whatever. Just, sometimes me being petty and immature.
Yeah.
And he said, it's not always easy to be that person. Like, what if I'm the one that's having a bad day or not feeling like dealing with somebody or angry or whatever the emotion might be?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you also need to be that person that's like picking that up and saying, what's wrong? Okay, let's talk. And now I wasn't aware of it until he said it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, you can't always be that person. Like, you sometimes are having a bad day, and I should be like, what's up?
True.
Yeah.
That's true. I think it's a maturity level too, you know? And it's like, I mean, he baffles me every time that he's so mature that he's just like, babe, let's fix it right now,
Yep.
you know. And I was just like, no, I want to do, you know, I
Yep,
want to keep
yep.
like this. But it's just so great. I'm just saying, somebody, at least one person, needs to be that
Right.
person at that time.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So if it's him at that
I
time,
don't know if
great.
I'm more mature, but I'm more sensitive.
Well, no, it's a maturity level with
I
you
understand.
that you're able to, you know, like, you know, what did I do?
It's
Right.
an
You know
what I
emotional
mean?
maturity.
Not too many people are ready to take the blame
Right.
for, you know, for something, even if they didn't even do anything,
Right.
you know?
I think also the level of relationship defines also how you deal with certain situation. Because if you're just seeing someone, you really don't want like, whatever.
I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, next. You know, even if when you're in a relationship with somebody and you're just like, I don't want to talk about it now, you know. But when you're already married, like, where else are you gonna go?
Right.
You know, so if we don't take care of the situation right away, why would you want to drag it out?
Yeah.
You know?
You two are so cute.
Aw, thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Yes,
for
I think you
having
give a
us
lot
on
of
your
people
show.
hope and just love.
People
and
come
and,
up to us all the time and just like, oh, you inspire us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
and it's not about the obstacles, and it's not about like what happened in somebody's past, or like, you know, it's just, do you connect with this person, and like, do they see your heart, and do you see theirs?
right, exactly. You
Yeah.
know, and you don't get stuck in it, because look at where we are today. And,
Yeah.
you know, we never thought we would even be here. And
Well,
it's
we
been great.
both put ourselves out there, and you know, like I said, nothing is holding us back from making our dreams to come to reality, and you know, till this day, you
and
know,
we're-
it's not like people think like, okay, once you got her, that's it. That's just the beginning, you know. And I think every day I fall more in love with her, and I wanted to impress her and do things for her. And, you know, something like I cook, I clean, like I do all that stuff.
You can do
and,
everything.
fix
I-
stuff.
You can do everything.
but you know, primarily I give her all the attention, and I think it's important, you know, not to kind of get lost in your own, you know, world after you get into a relationship.
So what's next for you guys?
Oh, we have we have
wow.
a dream to build a home for the whole family. It's actually been coming together nicely. We are at
In Florida?
final stages, I guess, or whatnot. Yeah, so I did a little bit of research on shipping containers, and this is like a
Like
whole,
the metal ones, the
a
connexes?
whole new way of building homes.
Oh, where they like stack them, and I've seen this.
But this is luxury, okay? So
Yes.
you will never know.
Because I'm thinking tiny home when I hear it.
No, it's not. It's not a tiny home at all. I'll show you a video later and maybe show links. It's really amazing concept, and it's being in Florida with hurricanes and all that craziness. You have to make sure that it's a solid structure, and one thing in Florida also, you can't have basements. So for
You
us-
can't?
No.
Why?
Because it's what is it?
Oh,
the
just because it's so
water-
far below?
The water
Yeah.
like levels or something like that. I don't know. They just
Yeah,
don't
we're
let people-
basically just on water.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the idea was for us to build a home big enough for the whole family to come together, and when they're not there, we can rent it out Airbnb.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the plan.
That's the plan.
And with that, we're also going to build a recording studio for me and the kids.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, make it like, and I want to be totally off the grid with solar panels. You know, have our own garden, so we can have our own little castle.
But you'll never know that it's a shipping container, because the way they build
Yes.
it. you
Yeah.
would not know.
She
You would
told me
think
that
it's
from the beginning. I'm not
like,
living in
I'm
the
not-
metal box.
Yeah. I don't want to see one piece
Don't
of that
let me see a piece of metal in my house.
metal anywhere.
It's cool if
Maybe
you
on the
li-
stairs,
It's cool
you know?
if you live in Williamsburg, you know, but not in suburbs. They won't understand.
You know, and then also too, he's been able to help me with one of my dreams, because I'm a singer too, and I've
Oh, that's
always
why your
wanted
kids are
to
all
do-
musical.
I've always wanted to do house music, you know, and use my vocals for, you know,
Oh,
some
wow.
of the melodies. And
So
yeah,
we
were able to
so
do that.
we didn't really talk about where I'm at now with my DJing career. So it you know, from that point like 2 years ago, you know, it was at that point it was just a dream, you know, like, oh, I wanted to get back into the DJing. And I was so persistent and putting myself out there and connecting with the right people all the time. That kind of pushed me to open up my own recording studio.
Yeah.
So now we have officially, not a recording studio, record label. Sorry. And so it's official now, Universal Love Tribe on Beatport.
I love it.
And we had 3 releases, and last one, the 4th one, Lesha is the singer.
Oh my gosh!
She did some vocals.
Well, I'll share that on the site.
We're super excited. We've been kind of doing a little tour. How we got to record her voice, though, it was funny. We had another session here in Brooklyn with my friend, and he put vocals. But when I came back to Florida and we were listening, I was just like, this is not it. So and I was just like, you know what, why don't we try something? So it was 2 or 3 in the morning. It was like late at night. We jump in my car. I take my recorder with me, and we record in the parking lot. That's how that came to life. And it's just like, the lesson of this all was just like, don't stand in your own way. Sometimes like you already like have certain things that you envision and you put it out there on the table, but like still be open to other possibilities.
Right. Don't be so attached to the idea.
And that's how this kind of came to play. And it just kept growing.
He's really taken me out of my comfort zone too, because I had an album that I released right around the time I was going through my divorce, which really helped the healing process for me. I wrote a lot of songs that dealt with what people go through around that time, and it's called Moving On. And so it was R&B and reggae, so I was more stuck in that kind of genre. But after like hanging out with him and hearing all those like the melodies and house music, and I was like, my voice could do this. I could go, I could do all that, and it will fit so good. And he's like, yep, it will fit. And he's like, how about putting your voice on this track?
Wow.
And then I did that, and I was just like, yeah, this is where my voice needs to be here.
For sure. Yeah, and we have like a few other events that we're putting together while we're here in New York. So if I can share some.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, this was the last thing I was going to ask is so like, what's your social media if people want to reach out for. Maybe you could help find their soulmates, share some music, etc.
Well, our new dating website. Well, we actually have a hashtag if anybody wants to find a story on Instagram, I guess, and Facebook is Lesha and Mark Adventures. Hashtag, obviously. And I'm sure a bunch of pictures will pop up, and you'll see like a story in the making. We have a wedding website. We don't mind sharing it with your listeners. Yeah. I'm sure they would love to see.
We have a video of our whole story.
I don't think have I seen. Oh, I think I did. No, I did see this.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see the video.
Behind in the lake.
Yep.
So there will be like a 10-minute video if anybody wants to see that. That's cool. Our music stuff, everything is on our main website, which is universallovetribe.com.
Okay.
Very simple, and from there you can find me, Mark Salner, and all of our releases and upcoming music shows. Yeah, we're all in it.
I love you two together.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming on and for sharing your story. And we'll definitely have to catch back up with you guys. So your social media information one more time.
universallovetribe.com. You find all the links there.
Awesome. And you guys, please let me know what you think of today's show. You can always reach me at Tanisha Wood on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.